Happy anniversary once again, everyone, and welcome to the first of many buff breakdowns. As always, we have daily buffs incoming since day 2 of the anniversary. And we're gonna start off with maybe a little chill, who knows? And today we have the 4-star Berserker buff, and it's a skill buff for Kouyou Kijo, as you can see. Her first buff ever, by the way. And a 2-star Assassin buff to Phantom of the Opera in the skill buff. And I believe with this, he is actually fully buffed now, which is very rare for a Bronze Servant. And obviously this buff makes sense because he also received this brand new animation update, which I'll get to more of that during the outro of this video as well for my predictions for future days. But let's talk about these two buffs first. So let's start by talking about the Kouyou Kijo buff. Let's go. So it is a buff to her first skill. So previously on a 5-turn cooldown, she got 30% defense for herself for 3 turns and 5,000 star absorb for 1 turn. And that was it. Honestly, in my opinion, it was even worse than the regular morph that also gave you a 1-turn defense boost on top of the 3-turn. They just changed that to the absorb. So, it was very weak, needless to say. The defense can help, but she's still kind of susceptible to just getting absolutely nuked by the enemy as a Berserker. Well, let's see what they did. So now on the same 5-turn cooldown, the defense up remains unchanged. The star gather up remains unchanged, but then we have subdue lines. First of all, she gets now a 30% battery on use, 30% crit damage for 3 turns for herself, and also a 15-star bomb on use. So now the crit stuff makes a bit more sense, doesn't it? We get the crit damage to go with the absorb and the stars to immediately possibly land some crits. Not guaranteed by any means, unless you have other star bombs or something else to help you, because you're probably going to pop this turn 1 anyway. And the battery is of course lovely because she had no battery whatsoever before, and it's not like her gains were all that great anyway. So getting to her MP, which while it is unbuffed, is not a bad MP. The burn kind of sucks or whatever, but she has attack ramp up on her overcharge on a very solid number as well. So being able to MP more with her is always very welcome. Now I do believe this skill is very solid now on a 5-turn cooldown. The one gripe I have, I really wish they bump up the absorb to 3 turns. It would have actually made her for a much more consistent crit DPS on top of being able to MP more often. Now you will still need to get either a crazy amount of stars to keep her crits more consistent, or just absorb from other sources, but it's always awkward like that. I really wish they just made this 3 turns as well. I would have been much happier with this buff, but obviously it's still a cool buff, and it's her first ever buff, much deserved. It's not like she was ever super strong, even on her launch state, I would say, way back when. So it's cool to see some love for her as well. They should buff her 3rd skill still, though. It is by far the worst skill. Honestly, I think this skill was even worse than the first one. It's just a stinky small AoE heal with a 1 debuff cleanse and a death immune for the party. Just a very weird skill that has no place on a absolute, like, just straight up single target full-on DPS Berserker. To have a skill like this is mind-boggling to me. So hopefully this gets buffed too, and then maybe she could actually be much better. So on the 4-star Berserker tier list this year, we had her on B, and with this, I think I can move her next to Beowulf. There's some interchangeability now, I'd say. It's not a huge bump. The skill is very good, but man, she's still got some other issues, like I said. So it's a good start, and hopefully they will buff that 3rd skill in the future. Now let's talk about Phantom, because this buff, in my opinion, is the more exciting one of the two. Let's go. So this is the last thing he had unbuffed, which was his first skill. So previously on a 5-turn cooldown, he got 9 stars per turn for 3 turns, and then he put a 14% defense down on himself for 3 turns as a Barret. So that was always a weird one. Again, very innocent monsters are pretty bad skills. Even the variants of them, at least the unbuffed ones, were never amazing, but this one is the worst one of the bunch. It's a low rank, so your stars are very minimal, and the defense down is just an insult to injury on top. So very weak skill. So let's see what they did. So now the same 5-turn cooldown. First of all, the defense down demerit is gone, so no more demerit. Great. Whenever they buff these, they tend to do that, so that's always awesome to see. They also upped the stars per turn from 9 to 15, still 3 turns, but hey, that's much better. But then we got a bunch of new lines, okay? He gets 30% MP gauge. Again, I know, you know, how original. Everyone gets 30% batteries, but hey, it's still cool. And then these lines are interesting. The full party, including himself, now get 30% anti-charm power mod for 3 turns and 20% crit damage for 3 turns. So now the skill looks a lot better. Again, even a very solid skill on top. Are the numbers huge? Not really, but considering there's 4 effects with no demerits now on a good uptime as well, it's actually pretty damn nice. And this on top of everything else he has, because remember, he already has a universal charm after the buff. You can apply it to anyone. It is single target though, granted, but yeah, it's a 90% chance. But wait, remember, his third skill gives him extra chance to land debuffs, so basically it is guaranteed unless the enemy is charm immune or has high debuff resistance. Also, it comes with a free buff strip as well for bosses. Not to mention, he gives party also arts and potentially even MP damage if you have the darkness field either innately on the map or have someone like Lohi enable it with a skill. So wow, and a small bonus on his MP being able to apply this really cool debuff. It's a lot of debuff res down on all enemies for 6 turns, so even just 1 MP from him has a lot of longevity. Okay, so this is very interesting. I'm not gonna say, obviously, like, endgame accounts are immediately now gonna max out their phantoms and bring him everywhere. No. But this is still a very cool buff. And honestly, he's one of the more usable bronze servants in the whole game now, I want to say. He's had a very good, solid glow up over the years. Like, he was absolutely unusable way back when, but slowly he's whittled his way to usability, to legitness. Especially, maybe you can even use this on something like the Grand Assassin duel. I'm not sure actually if you can even charm Azrael, probably not, but there's some other goodies here that are absolutely still worth your while. Not to mention, Assassin doesn't have a lot of amazing support options to begin with, and everyone has access to a phantom, so that's at least one use case from the top of my head that you can totally utilize. I'm not even sure if the map might actually have darkness field innately. I haven't tested Phantom there yet personally, but yeah, this is a really nice buff. I actually really like this. Now, granted, we don't have a tier list for low stars this year. Maybe we'll change that, but I don't know. Motivation is not super high for that. But honestly, I would rate him very highly after this on a low star tier list. He's super usable now. And yeah, very rare for a bronze servant to have a fully buffed kit. So this on top of his animation updates, you know, the handful of Phantom fans that we have, they must be super happy because this is like a grand happy birthday for this guy. Congratulations, Phantom fans, you made it. Now let's talk about tomorrow, because for day 2, we're getting a 3-star caster buff and a 1-star caster buff. Obviously, the 1-star caster buff, there is literally only one option, so it has to be Mozart, and it makes sense because he also got an animation update. He was one of the 10 that got animation updates, including Phantom. Now for the 3-star caster, there are options, but I'm just gonna keep it simple. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mephisto because he was the 3-star caster who got a buff or animation update, but also there was Caster Jill. I will say that. He was also on the animation update list, but I think the more likely of the two will be Mephisto, because his first skill is absolutely terrible. It's still an old witchcraft, not even a guaranteed drain. It is beyond terrible, so it's still probably much deserving of a buff than any of Jill's remaining skills. But honestly, I think my secondary choice will be Caster Jill, though. But it surely is one of those two, because the animation updates and them seemingly wanting to prio buffs for them as well makes sense. So there you go, that's day 1. Pretty solid buffs. Deserved buffs, solid buffs, and Phantom fans again are the true winners here. We'll see how the rest of the buffs go. There's going to be some higher rarity ones later, many 5 stars as well as the days go by. This time I guess they want to leave them mostly towards the latter days, but hey, it's a solid start. I like it. Very cool. So if you enjoyed this video, press the thumbs up button on it. It really helps out. And do subscribe not to miss out on future ones, because again, these will be now daily for almost a week. You will be seeing these buff breakdowns and maybe some other fun videos in between as well, because a lot of content on the way, that's for sure. Shout out to my patrons on the screen right now for supporting the content. And otherwise, have a great rest of your day whenever it is you're watching this. And see you tomorrow for day 2. Bye-bye.